What can you tell us about what we know? Very sketchy details so far.
Yes, we know that she had left her home in Astle Road in SE3, just in the sort of Blackheath area of southeast London. She was heading to a bar in the village of Kidbrooke, going through Cater Park, around about 8:30 on Friday night to meet some friends in that bar. She never showed up. Her body was then discovered in the park the next evening at around about 5:30 in the evening. So quite a bit of passage of time before her body was later discovered. I don't know if her friends raised alarm. Those details have got to come out when the alarm was raised and the passage of time accounted for in terms of when the police were notified. There is now a full-scale manhunt underway. Obviously, they have no one in custody as yet, so that is a concern. It means that there is a killer still out there, and that's why we have a quick-time investigation that is now underway. The borough commander in the area from Scotland Yard was speaking to members of the press a short time ago, just trying to reassure people that they have extra resources in the area, and they will have until the person responsible for Sabina's killing is apprehended. And in the meantime, they're appealing for witnesses. Anyone that may have seen Sabina or anyone acting suspiciously around Cater Park, or indeed the roads leading up to Cater Park and out of Cater Park at around 8:30 on the Friday night. Now, the investigation is being led by Detective Inspector Joe Garrity. He has said in a statement, let me just read it out to you, our investigation is making good progress and specialist officers remain at the crime scene carrying out intensive searches and inquiries. He goes on to say we're incredibly grateful for all of those who have come forward so far and spoken to us, but we believe there are still others out there who may have information that could help in the inquiry. If you think you saw Sabina, he says, or anything suspicious around that area on Friday evening, he's asking people to get in touch, either with Scotland Yard or indeed to call Crime Stoppers. Now, I'll just give these numbers out. We can probably get a graphic up a little later in the day, but for the moment, the incident room number is 0208 721 4266, 0208 721 4266, or indeed Crime Stoppers, that line 0800 555 111, 0800 555 111.
And I believe the London Mayor has been speaking, has commented on this, and we can just show you now what he has said.
Look, I'm in close contact with the Met Police Service, and my thoughts and prayers are with Sabina Nessa's family. It's just awful what happened to Sabina last Friday. When I think of Bieber Henry, Nicole Smallman, Sarah Everard, it's heartbreaking. If you compare and contrast this International Women's Day in March 2021 versus International Women's Day in March 2020, over the course of that year, 118 women were killed by men across the country. That's why I think we need to make sure we've got a fully joined up policy to address this issue from school, with boys being taught to respect girls and proper healthy relationship education, to the government outlawing misogyny, making it hate crime, and making the harassment of women in a public place a criminal offence, to making sure the police have the support they need to address violence against women and girls, but also to make sure the Criminal Justice Service gives this the seriousness it deserves. I think this deserves the same priority as counter-terrorism. I agree with the inspector who called this an epidemic. I think it's an epidemic, and I think it's really important that people like me, who've not had the lived experiences of women and girls, listen to the experiences of women and girls and work with them to have policies that address this awful issue.
London Mayor Sadiq Khan there. Well, turning back to you, Mark, this case of Sabina Nessa, the case of Sarah Everard just a few months ago, and indeed the number of stabbings that we've seen across the capital going on for years now. It seems that there's a new one almost every week. Does London in particular have a growing problem with this kind of crime?
Well, more generally with violent crime that are perpetrated normally by people known to them, usually a partner in their own home. He was talking about over 100 women have been killed in the last year. These are as a result of abusive relationships, controlling and coercive relationships in a home, usually. This incident in southeast London, the incident involving Biba Henry and Nicole Smallman, and of course the murder of Sarah Everard as well, these are much more rare in nature, these stranger killings. So I just think we need to be a bit careful with the mayor. I know he's, coming out there talking about an epidemic. There is not an epidemic of killing of young women on the streets of London. These things are rare, thankfully, but they do happen from time to time. As I say, it was March of last year that Sarah Everard was abducted as she walked home through Clapham Common. That man responsible for that, PC Wayne Cousins, a serving Metropolitan Police officer, is due to be sentenced at the Old Bailey next Wednesday and Thursday. And of course, the horrible deaths of Biba Henry, Nicole Smallman, out celebrating Biba's 46th birthday in Friant Park in Wembley. Again, a stranger killing, Daniel Hussein, in a bizarre pact with the devil, apparently. He thought he was going to win the lottery if he sacrificed a number of women. He clearly had issues. So, as I say, these incidents, they're high profile because the very fact that these incidents are rare and horribly shocking when they happen. But in terms of an epidemic of women being killed on our streets, we don't have that. We certainly have a very severe problem of women being abused, usually by their own partners in a domestic setting.
Well, Mark White, thank you very much for bringing us the latest on that developing story. No doubt we will be keeping our eyes on that very closely in the days and weeks ahead.